natural disasters. They know no coastal borders. Coastal communities, often concentrated in low-lying and highly populated areas, are the most potentially vulnerable to coastal hazards, including tsunamis, with heavy human and economic losses. International cooperation is key for deeper political and public understanding, as well as involvement in reducing risks from these coastal natural hazards. We sincerely hope that more and more awareness will be created for tsunami so that lives can be saved. Now I'm coming to the today's topic, that is lockdown lessons of artists. Artists are simple people with a complex mind. An artist is a person engaged in an activity related to creating art, practicing art, or demonstrating an art. The common usage in both everyday speech and academic discourse is a practitioner in the visual arts only. The term is often used in the entertainment business, especially in a business context for musicians and other performers. The pandemic has made us realize the amount of things we take for granted in life, not to mention life itself. I hope I live the rest of my life keeping in mind the lessons I learned from the global experience and never take living for granted again. A lockdown is a requirement for people to stay where they are, usually due to specific risks to themselves or to others if they can move freely. The term stay at home or shelter in place is often used for lockdowns that affects an area rather than specific locations. Widespread lockdowns were issued in the COVID-19 pandemic. The term is used for prison protocol that usually prevents people, information, or objects from leaving an area. The protocol can usually only be initiated by someone in a position of authority. During the COVID-19 pandemic, the term lockdown was used for actions related to mass quarantines or stay-at-home orders. By early April 2020, 3.9 billion people worldwide were under some form of lockdown, more than half the world's population. By late April, around 300 million people were under lockdown in nations of Europe, while around 200 million people were under lockdown in Latin America. Nearly 300 million people, or about 90% of the population, were under lockdown from some form of lockdown in the United States, and 1.3 billion people have been under lockdown in India. Now, today's program is Lockdown Lessons of Artists. And we have a very, very elite panel with us who are artists, even scientists, because we would like to see the experiences, the learnings, what they have learned with this particular lockdown. I would like to invite my first guest, and he's Dr. Rajiv Anand. Dr. Rajiv Anand is the senior psychiatrist and marriage counselor. Dr. Rajiv Anand passed his MBBS in 1976 and did MD in psychiatry in 1980 from King's George Medical College, Lucknow. He opted to serve his country when it was very common to settle abroad for brighter future. He has been serving society with his base in Mumbai. He has clients all over India as well as in many other countries. He was honored with Lifetime Achievement Award by AMA. He has conducted more than 3,000 workshops for different groups and companies with audience size of 10 to 800. His television program on various channels have been widely appreciated for his forthright and practical approach. He is leading in the field of mental and emotional well-being for 40 years. He was president of IMA twice. He was interviewed in several talk shows in domestic and internationally. Welcome, Dr. Rajiv Anand, on our show. Dr. Rajiv Anand, you are well aware about the lockdown and the COVID-19 impact. And you being a senior psychiatrist dealing with different type of people from all types of people from the society. And today our topic is the lockdown lessons of artists, and you are also dealing with the artist. So we would like to know your views on lockdown lessons of artists. Dr. Rajiv Anand, please. Please unmute, doctor.
Good morning and thanks, Mr. Rao. My apology in the beginning. My speech is not very clear today because of two ulcers in my mouth. So I may be little straining and you may have to strain a bit in listening clearly. So it won't be that clear as my other speakers. But thank you, Mr. Lal, for introduction. And I always look forward to this program because Mr. Lal has been working very hard to bring many of us together and create this platform so that our news reaches across the six TV channels to our viewers in Caroline. Welcome viewers in Caroline, Karnataka, and UP and Bihar, and through global TV, everywhere else in the world. I welcome Isali and Tanvi and Anuradha Chandan, my fellow co-panelists. In fact, I'm more eager to listen to that. Mr. Lal said artists are those who have a simple body and a complex mind. Interesting. I would also add to that that artists are those who have a simple heart. They are lovely people. They may appear to be complex to the outside world who is not willing to understand them. They may have their own share of complexity, as I do have. Everybody does have. Artists have extra talent, so they have extra complexity to bring the extra talent out. They are as normal as anyone else. They have need for being understood in greater way. That's why they look for the right kind of life partner. They don't get easily that kind of life partner. So Tanvi, I believe you seem to be unmarried as of now. You must be on the lookout for the right kind of partner. Second thing about the artists, I would like to say that artists are they bring their best talent out in a certain medium, in a certain atmosphere, in a certain setting. Conventionally, we think artists are those who make painting, who make drawing, who sing, who make music, who do acting. And undoubtedly, they are the celebrity artists. I would like to expand the horizon of it. Anybody who is striving for the excellence, anybody who is trying to bring the best out, anybody who is learning every day to take his day ahead of yesterday, anybody who is visualizing, conceiving something which has not been conceived, visualized so far. Like I will start an example. Recently, I was uh, watching a video from the air, the moisture in the air. They created a machine which would convert into drinking water. So the moisture in the air exists most places, and they converted it into drinking water through the machine. Some engineers have done it. So artists are those who create something where others do not even see or think. If the world is moving today, despite so much of mayhem, so much of chaos all over from Bihar to USA, world is surviving. The life is there because the artists are there. Had the artists not been there, we would have become practically lifeless. We would become robots. And that's why many people who do not have appreciation for the artist, they're just working like 24 by 7, mechanical life, mundane life. They wake up, go to the office, work, come, eat, sleep, wake up next day again, their life becomes mechanical. That's why we should go back to the days of the kings and the Rajas and Maharajas. They had flair for appreciating artists. They had their in-house musicians. If we visit Rajasthan palaces, Mahal, the rest of the art can be seen over there in those palaces. And we marvel that hundreds of years back, they have the knack of recognizing talent. If we visit all the temples in South India or North India, where some temples are there, or including Khajuraho, the art which is there, which is very, very difficult to believe that centuries back this existed, or for the matter London University. So artists help the society to move beyond time. My understanding about artists is they have a special mind who help them to create a society which would go beyond a certain lifetime. If Display would draw a painting, it would last decades and centuries. If Tanvi would sing a song, the song would continue haunting people even 50 years from now. Or if Anuradha's acting talent or painting talent would be seen all over wherever people can see it, beyond the boundaries of India or Dubai or USA. So artists have a special talent to expand the boundaries. Since most people in a default programming way, they live a very constricted life. Me and my pain, me and my sorrows, me and my pleasures, me and my happiness, me and my family. Artists are unconventional people. The world is their family. The cosmos is their friend. The universe is behind them, inside them. So they have a different bent of mind. Only thing that needs to be understood. Lockdown period brought many new things to that, plus and minus both. They were closeted, they were confined with limited people, and limited also may appear to many people as if half a dozen. No, in most cases it was limited, confined to 1% or 2%. And every one of us have our own uniqueness, our own quirkiness. We have our own difficulty. If somebody has to live with us or you go by silence. I also may have it. Nothing wrong with me. I'm a normal, happy, common human being. So artists have faced little more difficulty in the last 7 months. Yet the plus side is that never before in their lifetime artists got an opportunity. Traffic free, noise free, minimum intrusion from the uninvited people to the home, minimum distractions from undesirable sources, maximum space left to you to use the way you want to use it. Never before. In fact, I also realized it. I'm not a conventional artist, but I keep on exploring in the depth of my mind where I could do better than my history, where I can create something new. You may create something new by way of your hands and painting and singing and vocal cords and acting. We think of doing something new for people's emotions, people's life, their married life, their emotional life. How we can create something which would enhance the quality of their life. So I also realized that when you go in a specific medium, when there are less distractions, less disturbances, less intrusion, you get the privilege of shifting deeper inside, which artists desire. Many artists call their own inner space called studio. When they create, carve out a space in the house, they call it studio. Where they get the best out of it. You ask them to make a painting on a road crossing, they can't think. You ask them to sing a song in a running train, they can't bring the talent out. You ask them to enact a scene anywhere, they can't. As in the social societies or the parties, people expect them to sing a song or do an acting, and they feel very abrupt about it because they need a particular space, a particular place, a particular setting. I believe most of the artists found in the last 7 months God's gift, where they could create something new, they could think something new, they could conceive something new. And I would say God has been the kindest to the artists in the last 7 months because artists may appear to be anti people, in fact, they are not. They appear to be asocial, in fact, they are not. They appear to be anti society, no, they are not. They have a need for a specific set of people who understand that. And last 7 months, as I said, God has been kindest to them. They were sent on an all paid expenditure to an oasis, to an island for 7 months. to enjoy the piece, to enjoy the space, to enjoy the solitude, and bring the best out of it. So after having said the last few minutes, my attempts to speak theory, I would request Mr. Lal to take over and let me hear to the other artists.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Rajiv Anand. We can understand the pain you are having in your throat. Now, what Dr. Rajiv Anand has said is that artists is not that complex, but yes, they are beyond the boundaries. They, what we think, we are the general public. We always think of about ourselves, me, myself, I, me, myself, but the artist thinks beyond. They think for everyone. And that's why he has given the examples, what has been done in the past, whether the temples or the Khajuraho and whatnot, what done by the artist. But today, after this COVID-19, the artist, there are positive points and negative points. And he mentioned about the positiveness is that this last 7 months, artists got the time which they were not getting because of the heavy, busy schedule. And they were having the peace of mind, so they can create more things, or their creativity will increase. So according to Dr. Rajiv Anand, this was a blessings in disguise, and it is a good thing for the artist to get this lockdown period, because they can create more things for the welfare of the society and in the or the world. So thank you, Dr. Anand, for giving your opening remark. Although we want to hear more from you, but because of your problem, we can't say today to give more. But yes, definitely in the by next round, once you will hear from all the artists, I think by that time you will be fine to say more things. Now I would like to invite my next guest, and she is Miss Anuradha Chandan. Miss Anuradha Chandan is the interior designer and artist. She has done her graduation BA from St. Xavier's, Mumbai, diploma in interior design from Rachna Sansadi School of Interior Design. She also did her diploma in French from Alliance Frances. She has done theatre under Pandit Satyadev Dubey. She has also done cameos in feature films, short films, ad films, and web series. She is having passion for art and painting. Welcome, Ms. Anuradha, on our show. Ms. Anuradha, you have heard what Dr. Rajiv Anand has mentioned, and he said that artists are beyond the limit. They think for others, while the general public or we always think for ourselves. Secondly, according to Dr. Rajiv Anand, this time of the lockdown is something like God's blessings, because the artist got the time to create more things. They have their own time, which they were not having that much time because of the traffic or the unwanted guests, etc. Now, we would like to know from you the lockdown lessons of artists. Miss Anuradha Chandan, please.
Thank you, Mr. Lal, and the viewers for inviting me. I'd like to thank all of you on the panel. I'm sitting with some esteemed people all around me. So, a very good morning to all our viewers, and thank you for being patient and listening to us. And thank you, Dr. Rajiv Anand, for saying such lovely things about artists and my co panelists and Mr. Lal. Yes, what he said was artists go beyond boundaries. First of all, I'd like to point out that every human being is an artist in some way or the other. It's just that we do not really know our potential till we actually start creating and get to know. It's when people pat us on our backs, we realize, oh my God, we are so talented, or we know so much. And I think this lockdown was a complete learning lesson for each individual in this whole wide world. Because what was happening till this time was we, the people of the 21st century, were running. But unfortunately, we were running on the spot. And none of us were really taking in what was happening around us. We were busy 24/7 doing actually nothing in the true sense of the word. This was one time, but there was a 360-degree turn where we were made to stand still. It was God's way of saying that go within and find out what is really within you. And so I think this lockdown did teach each and every one of us a lot of lessons, especially artists. We are social beings and we are constantly on the run, constantly surrounded with people. And here was a time when we got to go within and understand what was actually happening within. And that I think was very important. I feel with me, I've been a workaholic till the lockdown. And for me, it was a 360-degree turn, because suddenly from having a very busy schedule, you are left with no schedule. So suddenly you do not know what to do with this time. And then it obviously took some time to adjust and understand what you have to do. Yes, what one realizes is that family is very important, and it is the family that got bonded during this lockdown, because we had no choice but to be thrown together without having the opportunity of running away from each other. Yes, we started valuing other human beings, we started valuing the small nuances of life, and we started valuing simple things like the nature, the sunrise, the sunset, the birds chirping, because what happened was, with the pollution coming down and the lack of cars on the road and everything, all these things kind of got magnified. So for an artist, that is a good thing, because suddenly your horizons are widened in a different kind of fashion. Yes, it gives you time for creativity also, because here you're sitting and thinking, you have that extra time for yourself. You have that extra time to see what is actually there around you and within you. Time to think. I'm not saying all these 7 months were great, hunky dory, where every time you were on cloud nine and doing your very best. There were times when everybody, as it was difficult for everybody. So you had your ups and downs, but you learned to cope with it. Man is ultimately a social being, and here suddenly you were not meeting anybody, you were in your four walls. So yes, it was a nice thing. It was a different kind of experience and a different kind of experiment, I would say. And yes, what I can say is I learned to cook very well, I learned to look after my family very well, and I learned to, since I was at home, I got back to my paintings. So I could do a few canvases. There was a lot of reading one could catch up on. And when you read, you are gaining knowledge every day, consciously, unconsciously. We were blessed being in a lockdown in this time and era where internet was very, very popular and everybody was connected with each other on the net. And so I feel that that kind of helped, because in spite of the lockdown, we were connected. Children could not have their education. Imagine having a lockdown where you did not have internet and where children could not have online classes, or we could not have online meetings, or we could not kind of stay connected with our near and dear ones via the internet. So yes, this lockdown was nice. It helped everybody find their creativity, find their hobbies, and most of us learned the use of a lot of Netflix and Amazon. I think we watched a lot of web series and web shows, and it kind of, that was also a certain different kind of learning for each one of us, because this is something that nobody had time for, and here suddenly you had a lot of time on hand. And what I felt was, after a certain point, everybody got themselves to a routine, and they knew exactly what to do and what not to do. Yes, we could not go to gyms, or we could not go for our morning walks outside, but people did kind of find a balance whereby they were doing their basic pranayams at home and meditation. At least with me, that's pranayam, meditation, or floor exercises in the house, or a little bit of walk around the house was what was helping me keep myself agile and flexible throughout the lockdown. Yes, the eating habits changed with every single person, because we were eating home food, and these kind of little things made a lot of difference, because everybody was bonding, everybody was being with each other, and there were lots of things that one was learning on an everyday process. I feel for me, lockdown was nice. I'm not saying it was great 24/7, but yes, I did connect with my inner self, and meditation and spirituality is what helped me go through this lockdown. And for creative people, I'm sure this is what Tanvi and Mr. Vora also felt, that suddenly, you're busy doing a lot of singing or composing, and suddenly here you are sitting right at home with nothing to do. But at the same time, a lot of people, what they did was started their YouTube channels, and they started singing for themselves and for others, for small groups. And so they kind of kept themselves active. Even with me, I was reading a lot of stuff. So we knew what was happening in the field of cinema and in the field of web series. And stuff like that. So everybody had little contributions to make, and Dr. Lal, everybody is an artist, not just kind of people like me or Tanvi or Dr. Vora or Mr. Vora or what and others. Everybody is an artist in himself and herself, and it is this phase that the creativities came out and everybody discovered new hobbies, new stuff to do, and it kind of helped everybody. I think we definitely needed something like this because all of us were just running on our spot. And suddenly we went within, understood ourselves, and kind of widened our own inner horizon. And that was what was important during this phase. So, yeah, that's what I can say. And I think
Okay,
that's, yeah,
thank you, Ms. Anuradha Chandan, for giving your views. And according to Ms. Chandan, everyone is artist. She says that everyone is artist. Only thing is that uh, people who understand, who can go inside, they come to know that they are artists. But those who cannot go inside, then they cannot understand. But this lockdown, many people have understood that they are also artists, and they have seen their artistic qualities within themselves. But she says about herself that because she was a very busy artist and a workaholic, but as soon as the lockdown was imposed, it was like a 360-degree turn. And what she was disturbed what to do, what not to do, because sitting idle, a person who is working day and night. And then she recognized that no, this is a good time to learn, and for that learning means she has to learn about what is within herself. And then she started reading, viewing some movies or the web series, doing the pranayam and exercises at home, and all those things which enriched her knowledge as well as mentally and physically fitness. So that's why she says that although it is not, one can say great, but yes, lockdown was a nice experience as far as Ms. Chandan is concerned. Thank you very much, Ms. Anuradha Chandan, for giving your experience and the lessons you have learned from the lockdown. Now, I would like to invite my next guest, and he is Mr. Kisle Vora. Mr. Vora is a visual storyteller. He is a graduate from Sir J.J. Hospital of Art and practices multidisciplinary art forms like painting, sculpture, installation art, and conceptual art. He started his career in advertising. From there, he moved into his special art, working with many hospitality companies, creating art and environments for their discotheques and specialty restaurants to connect to youth through his art. From there, he moved into a successful career in visual merchandising, where could utilize his knowledge of advertising and digital art. At present, he is a full-time fine artist. His works are introspective as well as reflective. He aims to start a dialogue with society, thus giving back to society via the medium of art. He is also an artist, mentoring a limited number of 4 to 6 students at a time. He has participated in the Kala Ghoda Art Festival, showed at various galleries in group shows, worked with corporates to create commissioned art for their spaces, and had also pioneered the street art movement in Mumbai way back in the 90s. He is also at the helm of the HEAL project, which he initiated in 2017. It is an art endeavor that is aimed at creating awareness and empathy for the sorry state of our urban trees. It is a one of a kind art movement that has gone international. Installations for the projects have been done in many cities of India and also in the Gulf and other neighboring countries, with outreach programs involving art students and school children. He lives and breathes art. He has not mentioned that he eats also. Uh, uh, Welcome, Mr. Vora, on our show. Mr. Vora, you have heard what Dr. Rajiv Anand and what Ms. Anurandan has spoken before you, and both says that artists are beyond. And Miss Dr. Rajiv Anand says that there is no limit, no boundaries for the artist. And Miss Anuradha Chandan add one more thing. According to her, everyone is artist. And both says there are positive, very, very positive aspects of the artist, of these experiences or the lesson learned through this during the lockdown. Now, we would like to know the lockdown lessons of artists from you, Mr. Kisle Vora, please.
Hi, can everyone hear me?
Yes, yes, please.
Oh, excellent. So I'll I'll divide it into three. One is personal, one is general, and third one I will decide in the course of conversation. So personally, generally it was a moment of truth for everyone. I noticed me, including and my friends around, and there's something called improjection, where what we feel and we tend to improject on others all the time. So here was a moment of truth when the time and space is given to people, they all of a sudden are left with no bahanas. They're not left with any kind of excuses, and they have it all. And all of a sudden they realize that, okay, so many things they wanted to do and they thought they couldn't do it because of the time, and here is the time. Now go ahead and do it. And then they realize it's their own drawbacks and shortcomings, and my own shortcomings and my own drawbacks did not let me do things, because even though lockdown was on and we had time, I had time, I started finding reasons to procrastinate things that I always thought I couldn't do because I didn't have time. So that was a moment of truth, and lots of us face that. And sometimes facing, when we're escaping from things that we keep saying that we didn't have time to meet people, to meet friends, to talk to friends and family over a phone call, to elders in the family, to elders but far and remote in the family. We never had time. And this was a little aura of no time, no time, no time, no time. And all of a sudden there was a time when everyone could speak to everyone. And that's when people started realizing, and I started realizing, oh my God, it was not about time. It was about intention, about doing things that I really, really wanted to do, and all that together. So that was a moment of truth. So that was a huge change on an introspective manner, because that day onwards, I realized that it's not about time. It's about intentions. And if something that if I want to do, I would have been able to do it. It's rarely about time. It's about intentions, because now with technology, there are so many additional supporting equipments. Like to my students, I tell them to read books, but they can't read books because they are, some of them are bankers, some of them are lawyers. So when they paint, I said, use audiobooks, listen to those books, and while painting. So these are the facilities that now people have to make the time count. And it gets difficult for most of them to actually make it so dynamic, because they're trained to either do one thing at a time, but they will listen to music while painting. But instead of that, if they convert it into a book, it becomes more of an enriching experience. Simultaneously, when you're painting, or when someone is painting or doing an activity and they listen to something, that has a deeper subconscious impact, is what I've noticed. Lots of this, lots of what I saying credit goes to Dr. Anand, because I remember I was fairly young in the college, and just on again introspective manner, once I ended up meeting him for a session, and things that he told me in 2 sessions, just Dr. Anand, and it just changed the way I looked at the world. It changed the way I looked at myself as an artist, and that was a huge path-breaking experience for me. It was so enriching, and I felt so large, and I understood the way people behave, the way they behave, and got so much clarity as an artist. So this was maybe I was 19 then, or 20, somewhere in that phase. And I don't even know whether Dr. Anand remembers that I'd met you when I was that young. Oh yeah, I did. And it did make a huge difference. So, well, having said so, on the other hand about creativity, so as Anuradha ji said, that everyone is an artist, and Dr. Anand also mentioned the same thing. I totally agree. Even Osho says the same thing. Creativity is not only about painting or music. It's about involving yourself very deeply into whatever you always like to do or you have to do, and then turning it into a celebration. and turning into some beautiful act, even if it's simply cleaning or mere cleaning of the house and making celebration. And all of a sudden, the energy starts moving, not more into more aligned, more harmonized with the system, with thinking, with body, and it becomes a creative process. And which again I noticed in my lockdown time, that things that I thought were mundane and I thought that I could avoid, I started doing those things, and then I realized, like arranging my wardrobe for that matter, arranging my paint and my brushes and cleaning them properly. And for an artist, for a painter, otherwise, pre-art and post-art time where we clean brushes and we arrange our paint and we keep them back after painting, and all that becomes kind of a not so important activity, you know. And somehow, why do I have to do this? And through the entire experience of art, of this, lockdown, these activities I started focusing on. And I made that into a celebration. So I would actually sit down, take a deep breath, okay, center myself, focus, and take each brush and clean it with lots of love and affection. And all of a sudden, I enjoyed keeping things very well and keeping my studio clean and all by myself, all alone, just cleaning and humming away to glory. And that became such a beautiful experience. Now it has become part of my life. So, well, that is that. And I realized while while talking to lots of friends through this lockdown time, and I enjoy, my hobby is meditation and yoga, and psychology is my hobby, and I enjoy that a lot. And I realized that art, whoever was involved into some kind of creative activity, not physically doing it, but engaging their mental space into listening to music or watching nature or touching leaves or waiting for the raindrop to come and stretching their hand outside their window to feel it, they all make a day-to-day life more livable. So mere existence became life for all of them. So there's so much to do. It's like taste buds around tongue. So the activity of a mouth and a tongue to eat food and consume it to survive. But taste buds around tongue just makes it more cheerful, more joyous, more complete, more 360-degree, and one would look forward to it. So it doesn't become a mundane activity that one has to do to survive, therefore. So art does that to everyone. It does that to me. And cultivating those qualities in kids and youngsters and children to connect to nature, to connect to everything around them as a shape, as a form, to connect to sunlight, to connect to clouds, to let them look at the skies and trees, as a project that I did called the Heal Project. I realized that kids in an urban environment get into their cars with the social media in their hand, and there are like 250 to 500 years old trees just passing by them. They have no idea. One day those trees are chopped. They have no idea. They have no idea whatsoever. So they don't know what's happening in their environment. So they don't know indirectly and sometimes directly how it affects their health. Even though there is so much lying in their bank, maybe, but what price would they put to the air that they're going to breathe? Okay. How are they going to change that with all the bank balance? So the richness as an experience has all these things put together, and creativity adds to that, and that enriching experience of being with nature, being with yourself, being with painting, being with music, being with great conversations, listening to other people, and feeling enriched that if someone is saying something, listen, no, it's nice. Dekhe hi to ja raha hai. That's the whole concept. And all this is part of art experience. And and when that happens with a human being, it's amazing that a human being is never preoccupied and never stressed, and he's always in now. And being in now becomes extremely important for all of us in COVID time. Having said so, um, talking about now, I realized that as we thought we had a lot of time in through this pandemic and through lockdown, I realized that we actually had no time whatsoever. We were so occupied and we were so busy doing things. Then all of a sudden, when it was morning, when it was night, one would not realize. And everyone got so busy. And whenever you spoke to people, they said, no, I've got so many things to do. I've got to look into so many things. And people touched bases with things which they never thought they would do. And there were jokes around it. And there were social media jokes around the fact that people had to do things not in a conventional manner, but in a different manner, like people showing shirt on top and, home clothes down, and they're sitting in a conference like that we're sitting right now. And there were so many jokes around it, but these experiences were extremely enriching. And lots and lot came out of it, which otherwise people will find very fearful to confront. So many things they confront about themselves. I confronted about myself that otherwise I would try to dodge or ignore and project it on something else. Either I don't have time, or my career is taking my time, or I'm too preoccupied about an idea or an installation or a project that I'm working on. Here, I couldn't say all these things to myself, and I had to confront it. And it was so that became, the time is now. Kisle, what do you want to say? You want to go ahead and do it, or you want to kind of still find something or some reason to procrastinate? So that was an interesting space. At the same time, as a visual artist, I wrote a lot of projects, and I worked on my future projects that I may take up 5 years down the line. So that introspective journey was amazing. I spoke to people around me, from fruit vendors to people I just had passed by on the road and never said probably even hi or said hi to those people. They were of course, with physical distancing, there was a communication. But while having physical distance, I realized that we were getting closer. Though the physical distance was increasing, and we were very close to each other when there was no lockdown, and we brushed shoulders while shopping, and we kind of walked into a lift together, but never spoke. We all were preoccupied. And here we had bigger physical distance, but we got to know each other a lot more in the entire space, in the entire community and society around us. So that became an extremely enriching experience. So it was a more of an introspective journey through the pandemic. So not doing things and doing things, we were put in an environment that now confront, now face. Now you can't lie to yourself. Now I can't lie to myself. Here are the things that I've been avoiding, thinking it's because I don't have time, and I have to confront it now, and I've got to go ahead and do that. So that was fun. So overall, this space has been quite an interesting. I'm generally, as an artist, I'm not an isolation artist. I am not an artist who would see inspiration only in mountains and trees and rivers. I find people inspiring. I like festivity. I like kinetic energy. I like to connect to people, and at the airport, on the footpath, meeting up with them, connecting with them, and that little thing becomes a celebration for me. And they all somewhere convert into my art. So when I meet people and I see a celebration or a festivity, I get inspired. As much as I would get inspired with sea or a river or landscapes, which are different than our mundane urban landscape scenario. So I enjoy that. So for me, I always thought isolation for me would have been an unhealthy experience. But somewhere down the line, when I started listening to the idea of, or I started getting news that lockdown is going to go off now, I wondered, is that a good idea for me? And my perspective changed. And I realized that no, there's so much I could be with myself, and I could, again, repeatedly, I would say that I could confront myself, because the only one that people run away from and I run away from is myself. And here I had less opportunities to do so. And that itself was very healing eventually. So first there were hurdles, and then it became a very healing, and then it became a very complete experience. And in such situation, well, there we go. Here we are with so much of realization and real values in life. So that's how I would this was my précis rather. It's not an articulated conversation, but well, this is how, as it is. It's called no mind meditation in Rajneesh's language, where words are not articulated and thoughts are not, and you act upon that. So here I'm pouring it out to you, and that's it. That's it, Mr. Lal. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Thank you so much for
Thank you, Mr. Kislevora,
tolerating
for
verbiage.
giving your insight without any boundaries, I will say, and you
Yes,
have
very
poured
much.
out
Thank
your
you.
heart
Thank
in
you.
mind and in the words. And this is what the lesson he learned. He said that initially he was always say he doesn't have time, and he not only he, everyone who was doing something or other things, they always say we don't have time. But once the lockdown started, then they realized there is lots of time initially, but afterwards, when they started talking to those relatives, and he says that he started talking those whom they have never wanted to talk earlier because of giving the excuse, tame excuse that we don't have time, they realized this is also a very, very important phase of the life. One should realize, and then the reality or the truth came. And he says this has realized the truthness. And the truthness is that one has to understand, one has to go understand that your intention should be good. Your intention should be to, to spend time, to give time, to talk to the pupil without giving the excuse that I don't have time. But afterwards, he says, now we realize that even in this isolation or the lockdown, we were having no time because everyone becomes so busy. He says that I have become so busy in doing so many things that from morning to night, enjoying everything, whether it's a drop of water coming outside and putting his hand outside and whatnot. So the artist, according to him, no, he also endorsed what Ms. Anuradha said, that everyone is artist, but he says that because he is an artist, he started seeing everything artistically and he enjoyed, and that enjoyment is beyond the limit. He quoted about Osho and Rajneesh, and he says that whatsoever the happiness, inner happiness, which he realized, and the truthness he realized in this time was really a good experience. He says when the news came that now lockdown is going to be over, so he was thinking whether it is good or bad, because he has started enjoying the lockdown because he understood what is he, and that is what is important. Thank you very much, Mr. Vora, for
Thank you.
giving your heart
Absolutely.
so openly. I'm sure that our viewers are also related because everyone is having lots of experience and the lessons, but they are listening from a renowned artist. That is a very, very good
Thank you.
experience today. Now, I would like to
Thank you.
invite my next guest, and she is Miss Tanvi Dhobal. Miss Tanvi is a music composer and singer for TV films. She started a professional journey as a sound engineer in 2012. She has been a stage performer at multiple venues. She has also been most passionate about teaching music and believe in its exceptional power to heal and nurture. She practiced various holistic healing modalities like yoga, etc. She is into writing and modeling too. Welcome, Miss Tanvi, on our show. Miss Tanvi, you have heard what Dr. Rajiv Anand, what Miss Anuradha, and what Mr. Vora has mentioned before you. Now, all of the three were very, very clear that this lockdown has given experiences, but those lessons are very, very positive, especially for the artist. Dr. Anand mentioned that the artists are beyond the boundaries and they are the creators. And Miss Anuradha says that everyone is artist. And Mr. Vora has poured his heart and he says that this time he has enjoyed more than what he was enjoying pre-lockdown period. And even now the lockdown is unlocking is happening, he is still remembering that time because he has enjoyed, and the positiveness, the creativeness has come. Now we would like to know from you the lockdown lessons of artist. Miss Tanvi, please.
Thank you, Mr. Lal. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Um, First of all, it was so amazing to listen to both Mr. Vora and Ms. Chandan. It was, and thank you, Rajiv sir, for always creating this safe space for us to feel understood, and he has been a mentor to me. Um, it's great to be here. Um, I would like to talk about both the positive and the negative aspects of what has happened to
Miss
Yeah.
Tanvi, please
Yeah.
don't try to some shaking, because if you are shaking
Okay.
your earphone, it is coming. There's some disturbance is coming. So
Okay.
just don't
Yeah.
shake your earphone.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Um, so I will completely agree with Mr. Rajiv about the fact that we did turn inward during this time. It was a new experience. It was confusing in many ways. It was uh, that's what silence does to you. Silence gets all these emotions to the surface, and that's where art comes in as well. We're dealing with all these emotions that we cannot escape anymore. Like Mr. Vora said, you have to confront it now, no matter what. Um, you have to deal with the reality of, the music industry faced quite a loss too, just as many other industries. Um, the film industry shut down. I make music for films as well as ads. People were asking us to, the charges were like drastically low. We were being asked to work at like 1/10 our prices, and it was quite a trying time like that. Um, of course, we had no idea about the uncertainties of the coronavirus. The lockdown kept continuing. We did not know um, how long it would continue. We were striving to stay positive about it. We were running out of our savings. But anyway, it, like Rajiv sir said, that silence was quite a blessing in the beginning. Yes, definitely. Um, what happened to me was I feel that the lockdown really pushed us to becoming more creative. Like it forced us creative people into even like pushing our boundaries further. And um, what I decided to do was I use singing to de-stress a lot. Sorry. Yeah, I use singing to de-stress, and I decided to start taking singing classes full time on Zoom, on online. And um, and I know that I knew that people were also struggling with jobs. There were salary cuts everywhere, so I started with like 350 a class. And that was amazing in a way where I met people not only from India, like the other cities of India, but also like other countries. And that was such a great experience for me. The social media is where the world was at, basically. It's the future is the biggest platform right now. Um, that was great. That also helped with the feelings of isolation, definitely. It was meeting new people. So of course, desperation got me into that spot where I came up with these ideas. But that's the good that comes out of it, and um, that's what it was for me. Um, Apart from that, we also connected with a lot of old colleagues, old friends. They all suddenly got together. We were collaborating on new projects. There was a lot of creative input suddenly, because everyone was in a way becoming more open. People were emotional, they were getting open. And it was there were phases that were beautiful like that, where with the collaborations. And we started putting our work out on the social media. I wasn't very enterprising earlier. I was forced to become so, and I'm so thankful to that. I'm so grateful for that happened. And I could put out we could all put out a lot of new material. And because there was a lot of time, a lot of people had a lot of time, they would listen to it, they were appreciative also. So that was again great exchange that happened. Mm, yes, I think overall it has been a great positive. I mean, I think the kind of growth that we faced in the past few months can only be attributed to like years of growth. Honestly, like a lot of us can say that. Um, what I would say is that like my instrument is my voice, and I use my voice. I use it to de-stress whenever I want. I know it's there, and I I hope that people, you know, not only in metro cities but just like people outside, kids outside, can maybe you know, just appreciate music some more, maybe pick it up from an early age. I was very lucky to have that, because it's so beautiful to have that instrument with you, and just like, you know, it's your savior at beck and call. It's great like that. um, I worked with a few. There's an NGO called Teach for India. I used to volunteer at a few schools and teach music to kids, and I realized, you know, they're from low income backgrounds, or maybe the parents are not, they cannot really support them fully, and there are so many of them that are just diamond in the rough. Um, they have so much of interest and passion for music. They want to learn. They don't have the right you know, platform or whatever. So it would be so great if you know, if there were just like more support from the government, just for freelancers, such as myself, just as many others. We don't have the most organized laws in our industry, um, but anyway. So yeah, so if, you know, in smaller cities and all, if the government just um, spreads the word or helps with provisions just to like give them a bigger platform, I would be more than happy just to be online and be teaching like loads of kids. And but it does matter when they get like individual attention. It does matter for that also. So just how I feel music has been important for me in terms of in its healing properties as well. It has been a great support for me like that. I feel it can be for so many people, especially to deal with emotions, because it is an art form, and there is nothing better than art to really help with that. And just, yeah, to connect with yourself basically. And yeah, I hope I spoke about both like the positive and the negative, and I did not like yeah. So yes, Mr.
Oh,
Lal.
okay, thank you very much, Ms. Tanvi. Ms. Tanvi has said that she wants to speak both positive and negative about the lockdown experiences as lessons. What she has, she says, yes, before the lockdown, she was getting lots of work from the Bollywood and other places because she is a singer. And in that way, once the Bollywood was totally closed, and because of the lockdown, the offer which she was receiving were about the 10% of what she was getting earlier. So it was that her savings, I can't say whether it is her or whatsoever, or she's saying about the others, that the savings, who the artists who were having the savings, they all exhausted, and it was a tough time. But simultaneously, she says that there were opportunities which they found because they have started creating, doing the music online, and then she found that the viewers are not only from a city, but not only from the in country, but beyond the countries, and that is a good experience. But her suggestion to the government is the government should come out with some help with the freelance artists like her, so that they can do more for the society, as she is also doing work for the NGO where she is teaching the not so well off children's in music. And she says that they all want to come out. They have talent, but they require a proper platform. So according to Ms. Tanvi, there is a mixed lessons from the lockdown. In one way, lockdown is good because you have become more creative, and you want to be connected with others. But the drawback was that financially it is not that good, at least for those artists who cannot afford to have without work. Thank you very much, Ms. Tanvi, for giving your frank opinions about the lessons of lockdown lessons. Now, I would like to go to our guest, the Dr. Rajiv. Dr. Rajiv Anand, everybody has spoken very nice about the lockdown. You are a very senior psychiatrist. And what the media report says that many of the artists, and one very famous case which is still going on, everybody knows it has created so much media hype, they have committed suicide. Now, it is because the reasons you know far better because you are the right person. But as a lay person, I can mention two reasons. One is either the financially, because the artists who are in the fields, they especially the show business. I'm not talking those artists who are not in the show business or not the front, but show business. They create an aura among around them that they would like to be shown as a symbol. People wants to follow. They have costly cars, they have a costly residence. Immediately the earning becomes zero. So that might be one of the reason. The other reason is that they are a media savvy person. They want everywhere, they want that the light should be on them. They want to face the cameras every time, but there was no camera lockdown. What is your experience, because you have dealt with so many artists in your practice? You are dealing also right now. I know whenever I call you, you're always busy with the consultation. What you say, why these things are happening, especially for the artists, as Mr. Vora, Ms. Chandan, they are very positive. Although Ms. Tanvi also not that positive, but she has also given positive. But why? Why the artists are not having that much mental strength to face the reality? Or is it common because we are only knowing through the media about the artist? Dr. Rajivanand, please.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Lal. In fact, it was a very enriching experience to listen to Tanvi, to Anuradha, to Kesale. I also learned a lot about how they have viewed last 7 months of lockdown. To address the question what you asked, I have been privileged to have interacted with people from different walks of life, different fields of art. I feel concerned about them, be it the artists of the film industry, or technology, or cinematography, or music, or sound recording, sound engineering, or singing. Because many of them, despite having huge talent, do not last long, do not have a uniformity in their career. They shine like a meteor and then they disappear. They have they have huge stock, huge store, huge dynamism inside them. They need someone to help them to have a balance because success takes them too high, what you quoted in the industry of the glamorized version, the big car, flashy lifestyle, the big money, and whatever the fringes, whatever one gets along with that, the girlfriends and the travel and whatnot. And that takes them off the center, the money, name, fame. And then they lose touch with their own creativity. It goes to their head, listening to Arabian. They lose contact with the well-wishers or their advisors. I have had privilege to interact with many of them and have seen them at the top. I have also seen them at the bottom. And I've also seen them disappearing out of this world. My concern, my request, my appeal to every artist who have a friend who is not from the field, who has nothing to gain or lose, who may be your best critic, who may be your best friend, whom you can call up and can talk, who can advise you something irrespective of the fear of losing you, who can help you remain on the track, whom So verbally these days people call 3 a.m. friend. I would say forget 3 a.m. even 3 p.m. friend, but someone whom you can look up to, someone whom you can trust. That's the kind of security. That's the kind of fixed deposit. That's the kind of investment for a long creative life. So over to you, Mr. Lal.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Anand, for giving your views. I know you have difficulty in speaking today, but what you have mentioned, I am sure the artists will definitely take a, uh, sense what you are mentioning, and they will not do something which will definitely deprive the entire country from their talents. Now, I would like to go to my next guest, Ms. Anuradha Chandan. Ms. Chandan, you have mentioned about the artist and how you have enjoyed and how the everyone is artist, and that is one side of a story. I have done a program, and the artists, and they were the classical musicians, very top classical musician for Padam Vibhushan, those who are others who are singing. Uh, and they were saying this lockdown is so bad for them. Because as Dr. Rajiv Anand mentioned initially, that earlier the artists were taken care by the king. But now no one is taking care of the artist. And they are the main sufferer. Neither you are the art, not you means the artists are in migrants category, nor they are in other category, in a business, MSME category. So there was no package as such from any help from anyone. And the artist, as Dr. Rajivanand also says, that yes, they have such type of aura. They cannot ask or beg from anybody. Don't you think those artists suffered a lot during this lockdown? And what is your message for them, Ms. Chandan?
Yes, I completely agree with what you just said, that what we see on the outside, is for the world, the glamour. But the truth and reality was completely different. You see, the top stars had lots of savings, so they were well taken care of. But the people who've just started or who've not reached the absolute zenith are still struggling. And during this lockdown, they were eating up into their savings. And this happened to, I think, 80%, or I'd say almost 100% of the people who are in the middle category. And they were finding it very difficult to survive. And there have been lots of stories that came my way, and it was really, really heart wrenching to hear these stories. You see, what happens is we only see the glamour of the artist, but we do not really see the background of what each one goes through on an individual footing. So, like for instance, I knew so many people who had the artists who live in Bombay. Now, Mumbai is not the kind of place where living is easy financially, and you have lots of expenditures. Like what Tanvi said, they were all trying to, make their ends meet. The budgets had come down to almost 10, not come down, they're still down to less than 10%, I'd say. And it's like it has become survival of the fittest. So yes, what nobody's really talking about the negative side, and she's absolutely right when she says the government should look into this. See, these are the creative people, and they have their own self-esteem and ego also. They are not going to come spreading their palms to you and say, look, I need help. At this point in life, the government was very nice in trying to help the absolute poor section of society. But what happens to the middle section? The middle section is taught to live with dignity, to live with a certain amount of self esteem. And these people can't go spreading their palms and say, look, I need help and help me. I mean, people who understood this and people who could have a sixth sense for this, they did try to help. But understand, these were also the people who did not have so much in abundance that they could help them. So I feel the government should do something in this direction. And yes, a lot of people lost their jobs. What the projects had come to a standstill. You see, because most of them lead a hand-to-mouth existence, in the sense what I earn is what I spend. And suddenly your earning has come down to an absolute zero or a negative. So, but you're still living. So you do need to survive, and you need to survive in a dignified fashion. So there was nothing they could do about it. So there were a lot of these television artists and all who went back to their hometowns, and they live on rents in a city like Mumbai, and they had a lot of issues. They changed professions. I know for a fact a certain television artist who took up a job as a building watchman because they just needed to survive. And this is just one story. I remember my daughter stepping out the other day, and she got into conversation with the rickshaw driver. And he started telling her that he was also a television artist or an actor. And he said during the lockdown, there was no choice but to just fend for themselves in other fashions. And yes, people did come up with innovative ways of fending for themselves. But understand something, everybody wants to live with a certain amount of dignity. You can help another person up to a point. Beyond that, they just couldn't help. So they are the actors, the artists, the singers, all the creative people did feel and face a lot of perils, a lot of barriers, and they were just trying their basic way. They were just trying to survive and keep their head above the water, their nose above the water. And it was definitely difficult for, I'd say, almost 100% of these people. I wouldn't even say 80%. And it was a very sad state and a very sorry state. I wish, people would do something, the government would do something about that.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Chandan. That is the real story, real state of the life today of the artist. So one has to understand what is the condition. We always see the glamour part. We always see the flashy things of artists. We have to see how difficult time they are also facing. Now, I would like to go to Mr. Vora. Mr. Vora, now I'm just going because you are doing paintings, and you said, and Dr. Anand mentioned that it doesn't require boundaries. See the country, the soft power. Yesterday I did my program on the soft power about the art and culture, where the countries are sending their art and culture to the other countries, in which, so that the other country or the citizens of the other country will come to know about our art and culture. It is from the very beginning, from the ancient times, so that it is going on. But what the discussion took place yesterday was that India is not pushing the artist the way the other countries are pushing. Like you might have heard about the Confucius Institute in India. There in Mumbai also there is an institute called Confucius, pushed by the China to our country. They have 7 universities in India, and institute, sorry, and they have 54 MOUs signed with the schools, where their art and culture was taught to the students. When you are an artist, when you are such a good artist, don't you think your association now, because you have a time, otherwise with pre-COVID era, you were all busy with your own things. Why not you make such type of suggestion to the government to push about the soft power, because government wants to do it. Why not you take an initiative, take other artists in an umbrella, try to do it. Government is ready to support. Rather, there is a proposal that each embassy should have an artist posted there, so that they can on rotation basis, so that they can give the training to those students or those who are there, even the Indians who are there, NRIs, or those who have become citizens. They wants to learn our culture and art, but they are being taught by others. Yesterday I was telling that I was at Hawaii, Honolulu. On the beach, I saw the yoga is conducted by a foreigner, and all the students were foreigners. Yoga is our thing. So we are lacking behind. Don't you think it can open an avenue, especially during this time also? Because right now you can do even on the online, and create such type of things where the artist will give their art beyond the boundaries. What you say about this, Mr. Vora?
I think it's a fantastic idea, and it needs to be looked into very strongly, Mr. Lal. We've been in this situation for a while, in the sense, from the time we've been ruled by Westerners, from that time, the art that is very systematically or otherwise coincidentally, the Indian art, the Bengal school, the Kangra style, the Indian Gujarati, the all the Indian artists who had a strong influence of Indian art, it seemed to be disappearing or it's becoming faint, and more of a Western art like Raja Ravi Verma did. Uh, uh, and it's creating an impact. And today, when we talk about installations and we talk about all the abstract and all the art that we create, has a huge and very strong Western influence to it. But when we go abroad and go to all the art museums around, we get to see very less Indian artists in those museums, and we get to see the presence of Indian artists is very faint, absolutely because they all are psychologically trained to follow Western art. So a very Indian art, even in an art school, from JJ School of Art to Baroda School of Art to every art school we go to, we'll see influence culturally or otherwise of Indian art not very strong. Okay, it's in such environment what we bring from our country to the other country to get exposed is going to be something they've already seen in their country happening 20 years before. So we, instead of mimicking entirely the experiential art or all kind of art or the culture or the understanding of art which we follow Westerners, we need to somehow invest so much energy as a country, as government, as artists to bring back what we have and create a great amalgamation of obviously Western and Indian, because Indians have always been very open to different kind of culture because we were so safe and secured in our own cultures that we were not threatened. So we opened up to all that came to us, and we still should remain the integrity of that openness of Indian culture should remain the same, but we should not tend to through education, through everything, we should not, we must include or keep in the visual periphery all Indian aspects of art. And when that's included into our entire existence as artists and as an artist or artistry, automatically, when it goes out of the country, it will have long, huge standing. It'll have huge standing because the world which appreciates art, they will get to see what they haven't seen. And automatically, when that kind of positive response happens, the entire country with government and everything gets more energy to push everything that we have to the global level. So I think the crack is within. And yeah, and these
Okay.
are the areas which are not seen even in music, even in Indian classical music. I there is, if the student is phenomenal with classical music, the first fear remains is, will I be able to survive and earn through that? Okay, so
Okay.
they somehow keep blending and mixing towards Western pop, and the whole thing. Anyways, so to make long story short, so this is my overall
Okay.
view on that.
Thank you, Mr. Vora. I'm sure
Yes,
that you will take a lead in this so
absolutely.
that our country's culture, because we are one of the not one of the we are the most ancient civilization in the world.
Absolutely.
And we must push our culture in other countries also. Now my question to Ms. Tanvi. Ms.
Thank you.
Tanvi, thank you, Mr. Vora. Ms. Tanvi, as you have mentioned about the financial conditions today, what artists are facing. Uh, Yesterday, when I was mentioning this program of the soft power, Mr. Dr. C.V. Anand Bose, IAS, he is a one-man expert commission on labor, government of India. He is looking after the workforce, and he has to submit his report. In that, it was included about the artist, which he has mentioned very clearly, because only the migrants are getting payments, or those who are and unemployed are getting, or those who are businessmen, but nowhere the artist is having this thing. But some initiative has to come from the association, from the artist. Today you all have a power with you, that is social media. Don't misuse the power of social media, use it properly. Join hands with all artists who are like you, who are budding artists, who wants to be something. Join hands, make a proper petition. Petition means ask, give the grievances, send to the government. Definitely the government will listen. See, until unless we will not push something, there is a saying, if you will not pray to the God, or God, you will not ask something from God, God will also feel that you are very happy. So, but the reality we have to face. I suggest you, that is my view, what you say about this, whether this can help in this lockdown period when you are facing, you means the all, many of artists like Miss Chandan has mentioned that somebody is playing the auto rickshaw, or somebody is doing some other work. Why not these artists send a proper representation to the government, and the government will definitely help. What you say about this, Ms. Tanvi?
Yes, Mr. Lal, that's actually a brilliant idea. You're right. If you don't ask, you don't receive. I've just noticed, like, in all your graphs and pie charts in the papers, and the needs of the entertainment industry, say they usually do always come at the bottom. There'd always be like the least amount of attention and provision given to. There are also these misconceptions about industry people, and yes, it is high time we raise our voices for that, and hope for the best. Yes, it does make sense to do that, and hopefully, yeah, it yields positive results for us. And
Okay, thank you, Miss. I wish all the best to you and to all the artists. After all, artists are the person who are beyond everything, as Dr. Anand has mentioned. They, we like we know that we have heard and we have read it how the kings used to take care of them. Everybody knows about Tansen. Everybody knows so many musicians, painters taken care by the those that time those who were kings. So now also, but only thing is we have, because getting a Padma award is not going to suffice. You require a proper, as Ms. Anuradha Chandan mentioned, the self-esteem. You have a self-esteem, you require a dignity. For that, I think it's better. So because of the paucity of time, I will just take one suggestion from Dr. Anand. Although I know that he's not this thing, but only from him. You already have given all the replies, and I think I have given very good time today to all of you to speak from heart. Although I have overboard somewhere, Dr. Anand may not like it, but I wanted to, that you must give the clear picture. Good things are good, but what is the reality? Viewers should know. Viewers should know the reality, what is happening today in our country or anywhere in the world. Yes, Dr. Anand, please.
The future of the world in the hands of the artist and in the voice of the artist. Future of the world. They
Okay,
would
yes.
create it by their hands and their voice.
Thank you very much, Dr. Anand. So today you have seen the lockdown lessons of the artist. One side, very good. They become more creative. They have more time to spend with their family, friends. But the reality is also there. What about their money part? They might have earned money, but how come now those, think of those artists, those who doesn't have money, they have to eat. They require livelihood. They require dignity. We used to listen to them, music, we'll see the painting, we say, wow, wow. But we are not bothered about the artist. This is a responsibility of the civil society also. We should not put all the responsibility only to the government. We all must take this thing. We must invite them. We must organize some programs. Now government has allowed 200 people. Why not we organize online program? Ask them to sing. And now because of this social media, you can even give them, or if somebody is a painter, he's painting, you also learned. Try to help them. After all, they are with us. They have shown, like Dr. Anand says, give the world to in their hand. So when we are ready to give the world, right now they require all of us. We must help them. Thank you very much. And today's program, which has been live telecast by V4 News, Global TV, V4 Stream, Malnadu TV, News Gaon se Samvad Sarokar News, as well as it was shown live on Facebook and YouTube. And our endeavor is to bring every day new topic which is socially and relevant to everyone, and health, for health also. So tomorrow our topic for media conference with Lal Goel is CPR. Yes, it is a health related CPR, you heard correctly. And the esteemed guest panelists are Dr. Srinivas Ram, Dr. Srinivas Ramka. He is a consultant cardiologist, Srinivas Heart Center, Chairman, Srinivas Heart Foundation, Warangal. Then we have Dr. Manish Rai. He is a electrophysiology consultant, cardiac electrophysiologist, KMC Hospital, Mangalore. And we have Dr. Rachel Daniel, Chief Interventional Cardiologist, NS Memorial Institute of Medical Science, Kollam. So please tune in tomorrow for media conference with Lal Goel at 10:30 a.m. Thank you very much, Dr. Rajiv Anand. Thank you very much, Ms. Anuradha Chandan. Thank you very much, Ms. Kisle Vora. And thank you very much, Ms. Tanvi Dovel, for joining us and giving your insight views. Thank you very much.